Our kids. Our future. It's really not that complicated.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nate Thamal, founder of the Back on Track Foundation. We're a private, for-profit company that develops ways to help great teachers like you with the increasingly demanding task of educating our youth in America. Now, what makes teaching so difficult in this, the 21st century? Inadequate funding? The digital divide? Standardized tests? Blah, blah, blah. Could it be alcohol or cigarettes? Our foundation owns stock in those companies. No, the answer is quite simple, and you've known it all along.
It's the kids and their parents, but mainly the kids.
Now, don't get me wrong. It's not really their fault. It's yours and mine. For some reason, society has so coddled kids that it won't be long until they take full control of your classroom. May I go to the bathroom? Seems like an innocent question a student might ask. But is it?
May I go to the bathroom?
How many times have you heard this question? Right in the middle of your lesson. This is just one example of the countless distracting inquiries emanating from this self-absorbed millennial generation. What you are about to see is one of a series of short teacher training films. Each installment focuses on a different student question and demonstrates the proper teacher response. A response that will get the kid
back on track.
Before we begin, let's review a few past installments. Such as, what to say when a student asks why he or she received a poor grade.
I worked really hard on writing my plan, Mr. Beckett. Why did I get a D?
Because he didn't work hard enough.
Excellent response. What about what to say to a student who asks for more time to complete a tough assignment?
Could I have some more time on this really tough assignment?
No.
Good answer. One more kid back on track. Oh, and remember the kid that wanted to go to the bathroom?
What is photosynthesis? We're reading pages 14 through... Yes.
May I go to the bathroom?
You should have thought about going to the bathroom before class started.
But I didn't have to.
The answer is no.
End of conversation.
It's that easy. Now, let's turn our attention to this installment's question. One of the more deceptive and disruptive questions a student could ask.
Mr. Keating? Why do we have to learn this?
To the untrained ear, this question sounds not only legitimate, but essential to good teaching and learning. Don't be fooled. Remember, anything that takes time and control away from you, the teacher, and enables kids to influence your methods or undermine your authority, derails public education as we know it. As we do in our other films, we'll explore various possible teacher responses to an annoying student question.
This time, the relevancy question.
Using the Foundation's patented Back on Track response navigation system, a software package available to your district and fully aligned to PA, IB, AP, MSA, CFF, NCLB, and TGIF standards. How does the system work? It's simple. For every off-task question a student dreams up, our software offers teachers various response choices and then tells you which ones to choose.
That way you, the teacher, are always right.
Now let's take a closer look at Mr. Keating, a typical English teacher in a typical suburban high school.
In what ways might Brutus fall under the category of tragic hero in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar?
Why do we have to learn about tragic heroes? Can't we learn something a little more relevant?
Relevant.
What does the student mean by relevant? Well, he feels a bit bored without his iPod implanted in his ears. He wants you to relate the lesson to the real world. Since when did high school become the real world? Your job is to give kids what they need to be successful here and now in your classroom. Once they graduate, they can fend for themselves. With this in mind, and using our exclusive response navigation system, let's take a look at one direction Mr. Keating can go in.
Why do we even need to learn about tragic heroes? Can't we learn something a little bit more relevant?
Good question, Tim. The reason we need to understand tragic heroes in literature is because we're surrounded by tragic heroes in life. In fact, all of us have the potential to become tragic heroes. By better understanding how human nature drives us or destroys us, we can help others and ourselves avoid similar fates.
Say what? Did you follow that? I didn't follow that. Your content is hard enough to teach. Now you have to explain it too? System says? Wrong answer, Mr. Keating. Now let's watch as Mr. Keating travels in another direction.
Why do we even need to learn about tragic heroes? Can't we learn something a little bit more relevant?
Good question, Tim. Why do you think we might be learning about this?
I'm not sure, Mr. Keating.
Fair enough. Does anyone else have any idea why we might be learning about the tragic hero?
Does anyone else have any ideas why we should go to school? Why we should graduate? Get a job? Here, Mr. Keating goes beyond explanation and into the touchy-feely world of discussion. Meanwhile, students in China have just completed their 4th exam of the day. System says, wrong response again, Mr. Keating. Now let's watch as Mr. Keating journeys in yet another direction.
Why do we even need to learn about tragic heroes? Can't we learn something a little bit more relevant?
I was waiting for someone to ask that, Tim. That's why I want all of you to log on to Blackboard and click on the current event links that I provided for you. And what I'd like you to do in small groups is see if you can find anyone in the news that might just fit our definition of a tragic hero.
Well, well. It seems Mr. Keating is so worried about engaging his students that he's actually anticipated the relevancy question. Sure, this extra bit of fun is all fine and dandy, but when did Mr. Keating have time to infuse all this technology and relevance into his lesson plans? Or are students right, and teachers aren't real people with real lives outside of the classroom? System says, wrong response, wrong response, wrong, Mr. Keating. Indeed, Mr. Keating could use the Foundation's help here. Let's see where our innovative, research-based, competitively priced response navigation system finally takes us.
Why do we have to learn about tragic heroes?
Because it's in the curriculum. Because it will be on the test. Because everyone has to learn this. Just because.
Just because. Well done, Mr. Keating. You have regained your position of authority and put your students back to work. Back on track. System says, right responses, Mr. Keating. It's about time. It took a long time for Mr. Keating to get where he needed to be. But once he arrived at his destination, he saw that he wasn't alone.
I can't say enough about the Back on Track Foundation's response navigation system. It's transformed my relationship with students. I'm no longer their facilitator, their coach, their counselor. I'm their teacher, whether they like it or not.
I fully support the Back on Track's response navigation system. It's an excellent tool for providing students with the 21st century skills they need. Given my business, I appreciate people who do what I want them to do without asking too many questions.
When my son was 3 or 4, he demanded a reason to eat his vegetables. I wasted a lot of time explaining the relevance of a healthy diet. But now, thanks to the Back on Track Foundation's response navigation system, he's going to eat his vegetables because I said so.
It is my pleasure to announce our university's teacher training program has just purchased the Back on Track Foundation's response navigation system software. We look forward to preparing tomorrow's teachers with the skills necessary to eliminate student-centered distractions and show the students who's in charge.
Indeed. Encouraging your students to question the relevancy of your lessons will only encourage them to question. When we stop indulging our kids, we can start shaping them into the courteous and compliant citizens we need to get this great nation of ours back on track. Any questions? I didn't think so.